Okay, guys, I am back. We're going to do the temple, the sanctuary, and sacred objects next. Some of these are kind of long, so I'll try to see if I'm going to do two sections at a time just to finish them out, or I might just keep them separate. We'll decide at the end. Well, I'll decide at the end. All right, so the next section is the temple, the sanctuary, and sacred objects. If I sound tired, every season, about a month and a half before time changes, my body adjusts to the new time just naturally. So I'm going to get up like 2 hours earlier than what I normally do. So if I sound tired, I got up at 3:30 instead of 5:30 today. So just bear with me. Also, I couldn't go back to sleep, and I still handled all my stuff for in the morning and all my work for the day, and as well as my exercise. So that's why I sound tired, but I am in a resting state, so I can easily read these off and get these done. But that's why I sound tired. All right, number 426. Not to build an altar of hewn stone. I'm going to spell that out. H-E as in Eric, W-N as in Nancy. Exodus 20:22. Exodus 20:22. Not to mount the altar by steps. Not to mount the altar by steps. Exodus 25:8. Exodus 25:8. 428. To build the sanctuary. To build the sanctuary. Exodus 25:8. Exodus 25:8. 429. Not to remove the staves, I can't even pronounce that, from the ark. That is S as in Sam, T as in Tom, A, V as in Victor, E as in Eric, S. And that's going to be Exodus 25:15. Since these are kind of long, I'm just going to repeat these scriptures twice unless it's like a long one, right? 430. To set the showbread and the frankincense before the Lord every Sabbath. Exodus 25:30. Exodus 25:30. 431. To kindle lights in the sanctuary. Exodus 27:28. Maybe not. To kindle lights in the sanctuary. Exodus 27:21. The breastplate shall not be loosened from the ephod. That's E as in Eric, P as in Paul, HOD. The breastplate shall not be loosened from the ephod. Exodus 28:28. The reason why I said maybe not is because the Messiah was like, no, take your time and repeat it. I guess he's like, imagine if you were trying to write these down, you would want someone to do that. So I guess I can take my time. He's like, there's no rush. All right. So the next one is 433. To offer up incense twice daily. To offer up incense twice daily. Exodus 37. Exodus 37. That's verse, that's chapter 30, verse 7. You might hear someone in the background. The guys are here cutting our yard that come every week. So if you hear that, I do apologize. 434. Not to offer strange incense nor any sacrifice upon the golden altar. Not to offer strange incense nor any sacrifice upon the golden altar. Excuse me. ALT as in Tom, AA. Exodus 39. Exodus chapter 30, verse 9. 435. That the priest shall wash his hands and feet at the time of service. That the priest shall wash his hands and feet at the time of the service. Exodus chapter 30, verse 9. Exodus chapter 30, verse 9. 436. To prepare the oil of atonement and anoint high priests and kings with it. To prepare the oil of anointment and anoint high priests and kings with it. Exodus 30, verse 31. Exodus 30, verse 31. Hold on, something came to mind. Let me check and make sure. Thank you. All right. So the Most High wanted me to clarify something. He's saying this section, the reason why he wanted me to do it by itself is more of a history lesson for us to know what our ancestors had to do. But he said that Christ Yahushua, who the world calls Jesus, actually came and completed this law. And people mistake that as we don't have to do any other law anymore. He's saying this is the one part of the law that we don't do, but we want to keep it in remembrance to know what our ancestors did. So it's more of a history lesson in this section alone. All right. Most of the other ones still apply. I just wanted to throw that out there because I was thinking about it. I was like, oh yeah, okay. So that's what it meant when Christ Yahushua said it. He came to complete the law so that we didn't have to do this to do sacrifice offerings to the Most High anymore. He was the final, and that's what that means. But that does not mean that the rest of the laws are no longer here. So let's keep that clear. 437, not to compound oil for lay use after the formula of the anointing oil. Not to compound oil for the lay use after the formula of the anointing oil. Exodus 30, verses 32 through 33. Exodus 30, verses 32 through 33. Number 438. Not to anoint a stranger with the anointing oil. Not to anoint a stranger with the anointing oil. Exodus chapter 30, verse 32. Exodus chapter 30, verse 32. 439. Not to compound anything after the formula of the incense. Not to compound anything after the formula of the incense. Exodus 30, verse 37. Exodus 30, verse 37. Number 440. That he who, in error, makes unlawful use of sacred things, shall make restitution of the value of his trespass and add a fifth. Leviticus 5:16. Leviticus 5:16. I'm going to read it without all the commas. That he who, in error, makes an unlawful use of sacred things shall make a restitution of the value of his trespass and add a fifth. Number that's Leviticus 5:16. To remove the ashes from the altar. To remove the ashes from the altar. Leviticus 6, verse 3. Leviticus 6, verse 3. 442. To keep fire always burning on the altar of the burnt offering. To keep fire always burning on the altar of the burnt offering. Leviticus 6, 6. Leviticus 6, 6. Number 443. Not to extinguish the fire on the altar. Not to extinguish the fire on the altar. Leviticus 6, 6. Leviticus 6, 6. Number 444. That the Kohen, or the priest, shall not enter the sanctuary with disheveled hair. That the priest shall not enter the sanctuary with disheveled hair. Leviticus 10, 6. Leviticus 10, 6. Number 445. That a priest shall not enter the sanctuary with torn garments. That the priest should not enter the sanctuary with torn garments. Leviticus 10, 6. Leviticus 10, 6. 446. That the priest shall not leave the courtyard of the sanctuary during service. That the priest shall not leave the courtyard of the sanctuary during the service. Leviticus 10, 7. Leviticus 10, 7. Number 447. that the intoxicated person shall not enter the sanctuary nor give decisions in the matters of law. That the intoxicated person shall not enter the sanctuary nor give decisions in matters of law. Leviticus chapter 10, 9 through 11. Leviticus chapter 10, 9 through 11. Number 448. To reverse the sanctuary. To reverse the sanctuary. Leviticus 19:30. Leviticus 19:30. Now, in parentheses, it says that today this applies in the synagogues. Okay. Number 449. That when the ark is carried, it should be carried on the shoulder. That when the ark is carried, it should be carried on the shoulder. Number 7, 9. Number 7, 9. Give me a moment. Let me check something. All right, thank you. He said it's not that important. Just get it out. I was going to make another comment, but he said it's not important just to get it finished. All right. Number 450, to observe the second Passover. To observe the second Passover. Numbers 9:11. Numbers 9:11. Most High, I'm going to clarify that. I do apologize. So the only laws on here that are obsolete are the ones in reference to making the sacrifice. I want to clarify that the rest of the laws that applies to the priests, that applies to the holidays and things like that are still relevant. The only one that I am saying does not apply is when they, you know, did a offering to where they had to sacrifice an animal. The rest of it, like all the laws for the priest, like he can't be disheveled, no intoxicated person, um, observing the second Passover, things like that still apply. So this is why it's still important to have all of these down. All right, so 450, to observe the second Passover, Numbers 9:11, Numbers 9:11, 451, to eat the flesh of the Paschal. I'm going to spell that because I don't pronounce it well. P as in Paul, S as in Sam, P as in Paul, A, S as in Sam, C as in cat, H, A as in apple, L, lamb on it, comma, with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. To eat the flesh of the Paschal lamb on it with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. Numbers 9:11. Numbers 9:11. That is important. Number 452. Not to leave any flesh of the Paschal lamb brought on the second Passover until the morning. Not to leave any flesh of the Paschal lamb brought on the second Passover until the morning. That is Numbers 9:12. Numbers 9:12. 453. Not to break a bone on the Paschal lamb brought on the second Passover. Not to break the bone, not to break a bone of the Paschal lamb brought on the second Passover. Numbers 9:12. Numbers 9:12. 454, to sound the trumpets at the offering of sacrifices in the times of trouble. All right? To sound the trumpets at the offering of sacrifices in the times of trouble. So those half of that still applies because we don't do the offerings anymore, but there's times when it will need to be sounded off. So that's going to be found in Numbers 10 verses 9 through 10. Chapter 10, verses 9 through 10 in Numbers. Okay. 455. To watch over the edifice continually. I'm going to spell that out. E as in Eric, D as in dog, I, F as in Frank, I, C as in cat, E. To watch over the edifice continually. Numbers 18:2. Numbers 18:2. 456. To allow the sanctuary to remain unwatched. Excuse me, not to allow. Sorry, I'm tired. Let me get these done. Not to allow the sanctuary to remain unwatched. Not to allow the sanctuary to remain unwatched. Numbers 18:5. Numbers 18:5. Excuse me, I need some water. This is the issue with the chosen one. Even when we're tired, we'll keep working. Sometimes the Most High has to make us rest. But I'm going to try to get these done today. Number 457. That an offering shall be brought by one who has in error committed a trespass against sacred things, or robbed, or lain carnally with a bondmaid betrothed to a man, or denied with any deposit with or denied what was deposited with him, and swore falsely to support his denial. In parentheses, this is called a guilt offering for a known trespass. That's going to be Leviticus 5, verses 15 through 19. I'm going to read it with the punctuation just to help you guys out. All right. That an offering shall be brought by one who has in error committed a trespass against sacred things, comma, or robbed, comma, or lain carnally with a bondwoman betrothed to a man, which means engaged, comma, or denied what was deposited with him, comma, and swore falsely to support his denial. This is called a guilt offering for a known trespass. Leviticus chapter 5, verses 15 through 19. Number 458. Not to destroy anything of the sanctuary, comma, of synagogues, comma, or of houses of study, comma, nor erase the holy names of God, nor may sacred scriptures be destroyed. Let's be clear. I'm going to read that again. Not to destroy anything of the sanctuary, or of synagogues, or houses of study, nor erase the holy names of God, nor may sacred scriptures be destroyed. Deuteronomy 12, verses 2 through 4. Deuteronomy 12, verses 2 through 4. Okay, that's important. And a lot of times they took the name of God out of the Bibles, and that was a big no no. I'm going to go ahead and make this one a little longer because sacrifices and offerings are next. Let me see how long this is. If it's too long, I'm going to make a second video, but I think I want to knock some of these out. Looks a little long, guys. Um, Yeah, this is going to be another video. It's too long. I think it pretty much finishes most of them out. Give me a second. I'm checking. Do apologize. All right, so there's one more. I'm going to put ritual purity maybe with this one. No, I'm not. Yes, I am, because these are shorter. So I'm going to skip that one, and because I don't want to waste time. So let's do this. We're going to skip, so the numbers will still be in order, but I'm going to skip to a shorter section and do that. So the next one, you're just going to have to write it out of order. I apologize, but it makes sense to finish these shorter ones. So let's do leopards in leprosy. All right. Leopards in leprosy. 577. Not to drive off not to drove off the hair of the scale. Not to drove off the hair of the scale. Leviticus 13:33. Leviticus 13:33. 578. That the procedure of cleansing leprosy, comma, whether of a man or of a house, takes place with cedar wood, comma, hyssop, which is HYSSOP, comma, scarlet thread, T as in Tom, HREAD, comma, two birds in running water. That the procedure of cleansing leprosy, comma, whether a man or of a house, takes place with the cedar wood, hyssop, I can't pronounce that well, scarlet thread, two birds, and running water. Leviticus 14:1 through 7. Leviticus 14:1 through 7. 579. That the leopard shall shave all his hair. That the leopard shall shave all his hair. Leviticus 14:9. Leviticus 14:9. 580. Not to pluck out the marks of leprosy. Not to pluck out the marks of leprosy. Deuteronomy 24:8. Deuteronomy 24:8. I'm going to make a second video.